A custom dropdown. Who never wanted this in their site? As an example, to create a lot of formularies or just to create a fancy navigation bar. You are at the right place. You will learn how to create hoverable dropdowns in CSS. The first one, I will explain everything to you, will be the very simple hoverable dropdown. It will not have links, but it will show the content below. So, first, the class dropdown will have the position relative, which means if it is relative, it will be relative to its own default place. Display inline block will be, it depends, it can be inline and in block. Inline it's something, it's just, inline it just occupies its own, the needed space, and the block will occupy the whole line. Inline block will change, it's a combination. The drop-down content will have display none, because we don't want to see the content before we hover it. The position absolute, it's something like relative or fixed inside an element. So instead of being to the screen, it will be to the element it's inside. Background color doesn't matter, white. Mid width, it's the minimum width that it can have. Box shadow, I will cover it later, but it's something like a box. It's something like a shadow around it. Padding, you already know. Z index, it's the level of priority, not things top and bottom, but things in the same place. If I have an image and a text in the same place, I can choose. The more the index, the more the priority. So if the image have more priority, it will be shown above the text. Dropdown hover. The class dropdown, when being hovered, will change the dropdown content class to block. Instead of none, it will become block, so we will be able to see it. Here, heading, paragraph, doesn't matter. Main dish, here we go. The class div dropdown will have a span saying mouse over me. Here, the thing key here, the thing down, top, you know. Then the drop-down content, to be slightly better, here you go. The class drop-down content, you can put anything here. As an example, I'll just put more. And if you hover it, here we go, everything is there. You know the shadow, it's around there, around the content. Here we go, the drop-down menu. What you wanted, the link, the navigation bar, the formulary, doesn't matter. It's the pretty thing now. So, first we are going to create a class drop button, which has the background color green, the color of the text and the borders white, the padding, it doesn't matter, but it's the amount of size between the letter and the external. You have a video about that. The border. The button used to have a border by default and a cursor pointer. What does that mean? When you put your mouse over something like that, we'll show it that hand clicking. Now the drop down. We'll have the position relative to its own default place and the display inline block. It's a combination of inline and block. The drop-down content will be displayed as known because you don't want to see it when you are not hovering it. Position absolute, it's relative and fixed of the father of the main element, the element that the thing it's inside. Background color white, minimum width, the minimum width it can has, the box shadow and the index. I already explained that. Now, every drop content A, every anchor in the Dropdown Content class will be black. The text will be black, the color of the font. The padding doesn't matter, you know. The text decoration will have no text decoration since anchors used to have by default, and the display will occupy the whole line. Now, the drop-down content, when you hover drop-down content class anchor, will be white. The drop-down over drop-down content, what is it? When you hover the drop-down content will be changed to display block. It will appear. Now, when you hover the drop-down, the drop button will be slightly darker. As you can see here, it's like green, but here it's slightly darker, so you can see the change. Finally, to build this up, you can just have the CSS. You need to have the right HTML so it works. First, the div class, the dropdown. You will create the first main div to the dropdown. Then you will have a button. This button will be a default button classed by the drop button, the green thing. Then we will have the div class dropdown content. What does that mean? Inside this div with the class dropdown content, we will have a lot of links, as many links as you want. So here we are going to test it out. If we mouse over, here we go, it became slightly darker. It still has the shadow around it. Every time you put your mouse over the link will not have that text decoration underlined. It change on clicking. Here, if I put Google, I don't think it will work, but see it goes somewhere. It works. The links works. Here you can see. Let me check. Yes, when you hover NA, it will be slightly darker. You see F9, 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 but here F1, F1, F1. So normally, if you white, then it becomes slightly darker, so you can see what you are clicking on. The drop-down content black. So I think you got a nice understanding of the drop-down menu. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends. So thank you guys and see you in the next video.